Hi, my name is Jordan Reichert, and I'm the Victoria candidate for Animal Alliance Environment Voters Party of Canada. A few nights ago we were down at the Dogwood debate in conjunction with the BCSEA. Although I wasn't invited to the debate, I was able to ask a question to the candidates after the main section of the debate was over. So my question was essentially that considering that animal agriculture is an exploitive and violent industry that contributes approximately 25%, if not more, of greenhouse gas emissions to the world today, what are their party's positions in response to that, both ethically and environmentally? Because this was a debate on environmental sustainability, so that's how I tried to frame the question. You can see the responses for yourselves, and then after I'll just make some quick comments on what they had to say. Thanks.
He's the candidate for the Animal Alliance Environment Voters Party of Canada. Jordan, would you like to make yourself known as you're here?
I'm up here.
The exploitation of non-human animals in the animal agricultural industries, not including marine life and aquaculture, accounts for at least 1/4 of GHG emissions. This is on a par or exceeds the transportation industry as a whole. What will your party do to address both the ethical and environmental concerns raised due to these systematically abusive and polluting industries? And I've got the hang of this going in order thing now, I hope. Murray, would you like to respond to that?
Thanks, Jordan, for the question. This is part, I think, of our suite of things we're trying to do for food security. And one of the things we want to do is make Canada a leader in sustainable agriculture by supporting research that looks at greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector. You know, meat production, as you well know, because we've talked about it, produces an awful lot of methane, and we have to deal with it head on. We should, as part of our sustainable agriculture, promote animal welfare, which of course is the point of your question. I think we need to look carefully at whether or not there is cruelty on feedlots, for example, and we need to be very much aware of the ethical issues that are there. We need to put together an entire strategy to deal with the sustainable agriculture sector that should consider, among other things, the issues that you've raised.
Joanne, would you like to respond?
Well, when Jordan raised this first, I was concerned about where we stood in the Green Party on it, so I did make some inquiries, and it is part of our policy that we will adopt animal welfare legislation to prevent inhumane treatment of farm animals, including intensive factory farming methods. And the Act will set minimum standards for treatment and have a timetable for phasing that out. But as Jordan, I'm sure, would say if he was here, that's not enough. What we can continue to look at is biogas plants to take the methane and make good use of it, and address the question of animal diets, which is also an issue that is adding to this problem. So there are remedies, how we're using water, how we're using soil. They're worth dealing with and looking into, and I certainly thank Jordan for raising it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Is it on? There we go. Thank you, Jordan, and thanks for joining us tonight. As a daughter of a veterinarian who was constantly working for the improvement of how animals were treated on farms and not to exploit them, I certainly understand where you're coming from. And we do need to look at and do more research on how much of our greenhouse gases are caused by animal husbandry. Part of what we're talking about in some of the tax credits is looking at ways that farmers can farm more efficiently, more organically, and more environmentally friendly. And any farmer who wants to step up and say, I want access to that, they should. Another part of that, though, is what Joanne alluded to, which is animal diets. And that to the whole corn lobby in the States and Monsanto and everything else, that we need to stop that and make sure our... Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so right off the bat, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I was pretty disappointed with all of the other candidates' responses. None of them really addressed the issues of animal exploitation or of environmental devastation caused by animal agriculture industry to any significant or I think relevant degree. There wasn't a primary focus on addressing the significant contribution this has both to the greenhouse gas emissions, to the acidification of our oceans, to the destruction of rainforests all over the globe. And so certainly I didn't feel like they were willing to address this issue in a head-on manner. Also, none of them addressed the very important issue of a plant-based lifestyle. I was thrown off by the way that Joanne Roberts said we need to look at animal diets, which I immediately thought, wow, you know, she's talking about, of course, the large consumption of non-human animals in North American and global diets, and instead it revealed itself to be a concern more about what we're feeding the animals than about the fact that the benefits both to the environment, to our health, and of course to the animals of a plant-based diet. So that was a really disappointing. I thought that she was going to move in that direction there, but unfortunately she didn't. Other than that, there was some talk of sustainable agriculture, the need for, you know, to establish perhaps incentives for farmers to maybe have more humane methods of raising animals, or to have more efficient ways of mitigating the greenhouse gas emissions that are produced in these facilities, or pollution otherwise. However, you know, I have to question why we're still trying to bribe people to do something that really in the end is a half measure and not really going to make a big difference in any significant way either for the animals or for the environment. I mean, we have to take these issues seriously. We need to address them head on. We need to address the issue of the production and consumption of non-human animals as probably the most significant contributor to the devastation of our environment today, as a huge ethical issue to be treating sentient animals as mere cogs in a machine. It's absolutely unacceptable when you have close to 100 billion animals killed every year just for food alone, and the incredible just violence and devastation this causes, and yet none of the political parties even mention it. And of course, it wasn't a question during the debate either, or during the primary part of the debate. It had to be brought up by myself afterwards. And I think people, you know, for the feedback I got from people is afterwards talking to them, is that they really appreciated that question being asked. It is on the minds of people, it is on the minds of citizens, and there's no reason we shouldn't be talking about it as the primary issue. Yes, pipelines are important. Yes, we need to address that, but without addressing the production and consumption of non-human animals and the violence that is inherent in these systems, then it doesn't matter if we stop driving cars. We're still going to have a huge environmental issue on our hands, and a huge ethical issue on our hands as well. So I was disappointed, but I was really happy I got to ask the question. And you know, I put the question back to yourselves watching now, and who watched the response of the candidates. You know, is that good enough for you? Are you happy with a response that doesn't address the ethical or environmental issues in a way that's head on, or did you think it was adequate? So yeah, I'd be happy to see your responses in whatever form on Facebook or on the video itself. Thanks so much, and we'll see you out there in the community.